individuals are meeting at the pyramids, when they're meeting at the sacrificial centers of the world. Now that you've got the earthquakes happening, and don't forget one of the biggest volcanoes in the world is Popo in the vicinity of Mexico City, I think the thing that people really have got to get through their head now is that they have to take an active role. You and I have taught them how to fish, but we can't put the fishing reel in their hand and point them to the water hole of knowledge. They've got to act. They have got to prepare. And, Alex, this esoteric nature of it is the spirit behind all of it. Listen, just as that represents, Mexico City represents the blood sacrifice capital of the world, the Luciferians were sending a signal that out of the blood sacrifice capital city of the world would go the ultimate Luciferian sacrifice of I don't know how many dead, but trust me, 50 million's on the light side. You and I
stay there. Steve Quayle, I want to open the phones up for quick questions from Nathan, Leo, Bill, Dominic, JD, Nicolette, Sherry, Dave, Carter, George, Nathan, Morty. We're going to take a lot of calls in the next segment. Just quick questions or comments from all of them. And then get your take on it. We'll also put up on screen your website for folks as well. But, Steve, look, we know they use this type of hype to train everybody to take the vaccines, to take the Tamiflu, to take the drugs. The government's your friend. It gives you the little mask. But they leave our borders wide open while Europe is screening Americans and Mexicans that fly in. They're banning our food imports to Germany and Russia and England and others. I mean, if there's not something to this, it's a crime that they're hyping it up. And then we've got all the news of cover-ups of how many have really died. And then you look at this clearly engineered virus. The doctors we've had on have said clearly. I mean, they usually talk about, bird flu mixing with human. Some of the variants having evidence of this. And then they say the maker of the vaccine that the UN has chosen is Baxter, the company we've been railing against, who have told 18 sub-companies in Europe to mix live bird flu with regular vaccine. Thank God they got caught. But then some unnamed companies in mainstream news, London Telegraph, that was paying city workers to give homeless shots and paying them, and the homeless were dying of bird flu. In fact, put that up on screen about the homeless dying of bird flu. I want people to see these mainstream articles who don't believe us. I mean, something stinks here, Steve. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of crazy stuff. I don't know what's coming out of this, but definitely this has got New World Order fingerprints all over it.
Well, absolutely, and for those of you, the people that are biblically inclined, this is the pestilence. This is one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse, and I think that people need to understand this. We're being isolated. Alex, I said 5 years ago, the time will come when no trains will run, no planes will fly, no cars, no vehicles, etc. America will become completely isolated. It will be isolated in that we will be cut off. We will be considered the pariah nation of the world. Now, let's get back to Mexico really quick, because I think this is what's going to take down the economy, okay? Our economy, not just Mexico's economy. My sources on the ground in that area are claiming 2,000 dead. 2,000 dead. Now, first of all, I believe nothing that comes out of officialdom. I believe that the CDC is only there to control how should I say this, disseminate the information. I believe that this is if you will, imagine America as the test tube. This is the test case. And so over the years, when you and I would talk about the depopulation of the world, 90%, we got, all the tinfoil hat boys would get together on boards and hoist a few scotches to us. But now, this is something that even strikes the boldest skeptic, because the smallest virus, the smallest bug, the question is, are they testing first on a select, confined population, i.e. Mexicans, Hispanics, Latinos, or is this just the fear to make everyone run to the answer, the Hegelian dialectic, by injection, and take the vaccination? I am convinced the vaccination is the execution dose. If you deny or decline to take the vaccination, that's when the camps come in. That's when the martial law comes in, Alex.
Oh, my God. Why didn't I see this? Are you? Of course. Baxter's caught breeding up millions of dosages of vaccine with live bird flu that the scientists in the Czech Republic said would be a perfect way to create a master airborne mutagen with a 90% kill rate with that particular version of bird flu. When you can ingest it, if you actually get it, you're in deep trouble. And then they're making all these vaccines. The news won't say where all the vaccine stock went. And then Baxter is chosen out of hundreds of major companies to be the one to make the vaccine for this flu. Oh, man.
This is so insipidly wicked. This is so horrific. I honestly believe, Alex, and I make no bones about this. By the way, my guesstimate on time, based on what I'm sensing in my gut, is from about Thursday on, things are going to turn totally bad. You know, I caught nothing but crap for putting up the orange alert. People were saying, oh, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. And I stand by that alert. I did not put up that alert without a lot of intercessors praying. I sought the Lord. I said, God, I cannot afford to be wrong on this one, not for my sake, but for your people's sake. Now, here's the deal. The situation that's going on right now is absolutely so diabolically wicked that the simple Western mind of well-meaning Americans cannot even embrace the thought of what you just had as a revelation. They cannot embrace it. Therefore, because they reject the knowledge, or, you know, the mainstream will call you and I the tinfoil boys or whatever, you know, the bottom line in all this, and I keep saying that, Alex, cutting to the chase, this is the initiating action. What comes from this point is the death. And
well,
that is
take 76. The swine flu wasn't killing anybody. The President Ford orders the whole public to take it. People start taking it and dying in mass, and so they had to pull back. So this has happened before. Man, there's a lot of media fear-mongering going on. We'll break that down when we get back. All right, your calls are coming up with our guest, Steve Quayle, to the end of the hour, into the show. And then it starts back over with Dr. Tim Penny from Mexico and Dr. Deagle popping in, Paul Watson from England. You know, I just want to be clear here. State Department Memorandum 200 saying they got to sterilize and reduce the population by half. Biological diversity assessment by the UN 1996 and others saying they want to get rid of 80% of us. The official statements, Dr. Eric Pianka, I just use him because it made national news. Most people have heard about him. So it was big news for a few weeks. Said, you know, he wants 90% of us to die with an airborne Ebola. And then he can't wait for everybody to die, and he wants it to be basically engineered. And the FBI even went and visited him. We called for that. When you go to Pianka's site at UT, I haven't checked this in about a year. Google Dr. Eric Pianka UT, and go. It'll be EDU. It'll be University of Texas site. It's him in Druid robes saying he's a Druid and that he loves Lucifer. This is on the University of Texas site. Now, this guy who is a Druid, goes to class as a Druid, big beard, biologist, he has all these graduate students that send us threatening emails and people that, oh, I went to him 10 years ago, he's great. It's them in white lab coats as doctors and biologists in BioShield bioweapons programs. You know, the BioShield program you hear is to fight bioweapons, but they admit it's really a bioweapons program. But the key here is this guy got up and got a standing ovation at St. Edward's here in Austin. It was in the paper, and it was also Texas Academy of Sciences when he was meeting in South Texas. All over the world, he gets standing ovations when he says, kill 90% of us. And his graduate students sent me papers saying, look, Jones, he is a conservative. I believe the humans are a parasite. We did reports on this at prisonplanet.com. All humans should be killed. So this is what Prince Philip, Ted Turner, the UN, the Kissingers. So when Steve gets into all of this, they admit they're Luciferians. Even if you're an atheist, the point is, cold-bloodedly, just from an anthropological, view, or studying the elites, if you're studying, if you wrote a book, The Elites of the World in the year 2009, published 2020 or whatever, imaginary book, and you were just an anthropologist, sociologist, looking at what the elites really believed, they're a bunch of bloodthirsty killers that want to kill everybody for Gaia. Earth First Battalion and the Pentagon, all of this. And so when Steve talks about all this from his Christian perspective, and I'm a Christian as well, not a mainline fake Christian, regardless, the real data shows that. And so we have to look at this when they're saying swine flu virus may cause global pandemic, United Nations, French news agency, and, U.S. emergency declared. And, in fact, I didn't even get to this. It's in my stack of mainstream news where the U.S. government is saying stay indoors in these areas in Texas. Napolitano says the really bad stuff's to come. America's told to wear masks as swine flu spreads around the globe. Remember the media told you that you didn't need masks. It was safe at ground zero. We got on there and said you needed them. Well, the point is you need a nano mask. Just the regular mask may reduce a piece of spit in the air if somebody sneezes, some mucus that's got the virus in it. So it does help reduce, but it doesn't completely protect you. You need to get nano mask. I worry about folks like my dad, who's a dentist doing bloody procedures every day. But again, it's all hype right now. Why all the fear? Why the gearing up when other flus kill far more than this? Well, it's unseasonable. Didn't come from the East. Is a weird transgenetic mixture. Telltale designer came out of Mexico, not in the flu season. Just all of this is going on, and other countries are acting scared to death of this. Something's going on, and I hope they pull back from whatever they're planning. But, we've given you in the first few hours the view that it's a hoax, the view that they're hyping it. But remember who's doing it. They've proven they're capable of anything. Steve Quayle.
First of all, people are emailing me asking me, do I think this is just a distraction? I would say this is part of the entire plan because, Alex, and everyone I've interviewed over 25 years in the world of spooks, kooks, and everything else that comes along the way, and spies, counter spies,